Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to NEN webinar. My name is Meenakshi, and on behalf of NEN and Bhavnani Foundation, I would like to invite you all for this webinar and also introduce our expert speaker, Mr. Sanjiv Bhavnani. Mr. Bhavnani has over 30 years of experience in information technology industry and solid strategic and tactical expertise in business operations, global expansion, fundraising, marketing, and sales, and new product development. He is an expert at scaling operations, planning, executing missions, critical business initiatives, distinguished by triple-digit revenue gains and achieving profitability objectives by leveraging media for reaching out to clients and investors globally. He is also extremely successful at formulating effective go-to-market strategies and negotiating multinational transactions valued in excess of $20 million against larger, more entrenched competition. Today, he will share his experience having worked with many companies and entrepreneurs of different size in sales sector. Before I hand over the floor to Mr. Bhavnani, here are a few reminders for the audience. You will be on mute and you may ask a question by typing on the panel provided. Over to you, Sanjeev.
Thank you, Meenakshi, and good afternoon, friends. I see that we have 35 attendees right now, and I welcome those of you who've come here on time, and I hope that the rest of the attendees are also going to be joining in shortly. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, well, let me start on how you need to plan your business for maximizing your sales opportunity. Well, this is the naked truth of business. For those of you who've started businesses, you know business is a struggle. You struggle hard to make a sale. You struggle as hard at times to complete it, depending on what you're selling, of course. You struggle hard to retain your clients. You struggle very hard to attract new clients. You struggle hard to retain your team. And the sales team is definitely one of those teams which makes you struggle even harder. You struggle hard to manage cash flows of your business once you have the customers and you are spending money. And finally, as you start growing, you struggle hard to find more money to invest in your business. Now, the problem with everything that is there in business is that things are not easy. I mean, this slide just goes and tells you something that you already know. If that were not the case, probably none of you would be here right now. But let us see some more of what happens when you go out to sell. This is typically what happens when you go out to sell for your business. Everywhere there is a sign which is stopping you. Everywhere there is a customer who doesn't want you. It's like, you know, driving on a road where there are more obstacles and potholes than the kind of freeway that you were expecting when you started your business. Every sale has 5 basic obstacles. The customer is the one who's obviously going to come out with these obstacles to your selling. There is either no need, there is no money, there is no hurry, no desire, or there is no trust. Now, as a salesperson, as an entrepreneur, you need to find ways of surmounting these 5 basic obstacles that will be thrown at you practically everywhere. There's plenty of advice available on how to sell bad products, but very few companies realize that they need to work hard to sell good products also. So I'm assuming that you are all entrepreneurs selling or wanting to sell good products or services, and I'm going to focus the rest of this webinar on how to sell good products and services. Today's preparation will determine tomorrow's achievement for you. As the great sales motivator and sales guru Zig Ziglar has said, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Incidentally, Zig Ziglar wrote, I think, 29 odd books on sales and was a major motivational guru and sales guru for most of the world. And now we have to talk about sales. So what is it that you're selling? Do you sell products? Do you sell services? Or do you sell projects? Okay, and if there is any confusion, projects I'm referring to are a combination of products and services in the nature of turnkey projects. So what is it that you sell? Right? It is going to make a difference to how you're going to approach your customer. So when we are discussing how do you sell, I think what is something that you must bear in mind is how do you buy? Because if you can answer for yourself what influences your purchase decisions, you're going to know what is going to influence your customer's decision to purchase as well. So let's look at a simplistic view of the most simple of purchase processes that every one of us indulges in. Let's say, how do you buy a burger or a pizza? What are the questions that you ask yourself when you're buying a product such as a burger or a pizza? You're going to be asking yourself, does it taste good? Is the place good? Is the price affordable? Do I want to be seen at this place? I mean, there's a peer group around and you don't want to hang around practically everywhere and be caught at the wrong places. So what is it that is going through your mind? It does narrow down to something which is, does the place offer value for money? Are you willing to pay a premium to be seen there? Is the service good? Does the staff there make you feel good? Do you get a free Coke or something as a combo with a pizza or a burger? Now this is a low value purchase that you make all the time. When you start looking at higher value purchases, let's say buying a car, the questions that you're going to ask yourself, which will influence your purchase decision, is going to be rather different. Since we're talking about a product which has a certain aspiration value, and definitely it has technology that is making it work, your questions would now differ. So you would ask yourself, what is the BHP or engine capacity? What kind of mileage do I get? What are the maintenance and upkeep costs? What is the resale value? Is this kind of a price affordable? Does it agree with my profile? That is where the aspiration value comes in. Who else amongst my peers owns it? I want to have something that my peer group owns, or at least what they own, if not better. Does it offer value for money? Yes. But since it's a larger value now, you will also start looking at options where if the money can be made available to you through a financing scheme, what kind of interest rates would be involved. So there's a whole lot of questions which will go along with what you are planning to purchase. Please ask yourself the same questions when you start working out your selling strategy. And it's going to depend on what products and services or projects that you are engaged in. Now, how do you sell? These are ways of reaching your customer. Do you sell directly to an end user? Is the end user your buyer? And are you selling directly to him? Are you selling to him through channels? When I say channels, I mean a distribution channel where there is a distributor, there could be a stockist, there could be a warehouse, there would be channel partners or resellers who are involved in this, and at times a lot of those larger resellers would have resellers under them. They could be at a national level, this could be at a global level, this could happen within your own locality also. Then there is another manner in which you reach out to your customers, and this would be through consultants and procurement agencies. When we start talking about larger value projects, that is when the consultants start playing a role in the purchase decision, and that is where you end up selling. So what is it that differs? When you were selling the products, you were asking all those questions. When you decided to take the example of your car purchase, having decided on make and model of the car, You now came around to your choice of a dealership. Now, a dealership is typically somebody who's a reseller. He is a channel for a car company, but he is also offering after-sales service because your car needs to be serviced at periodic intervals. Now, which dealer would you go and buy a car from? The question that you would ask yourself would be somewhat different. Is the showroom good? Is it close to where I stay? Is the service good? Does the staff make me feel good? Do they give me a test drive on the car that I want to buy? Did they answer all the questions that I asked them about the car? Are they offering me the best discounts? Are they running any schemes? Schemes could be like buyback schemes, could be loyalty bonuses, could be competitive changeover bonuses or discounts. So there's a variety of these things that come into this when we start talking about a different product. When we start talking about projects which you sell through consultants and procurement agencies, here the track record of the business becomes extremely important, as this is a high-value purchase typically. The skill set available in-house should compare with other competitors. Your marketing, sales teams, pre-sales team, technical team, project management team, fund management teams need to be skilled enough when you're selling projects. You must have testimonials from existing customers. You must reach out to the market through publicity. You need people to know about your company, be more aware, because they're going to part with a lot more money for what you're selling. You need references from your customers, from people you do business with, which is going to give you a satisfied client list that you can actually talk about to other customers and help reel them in. So a lot of these things are now, as you realize, dependent on what you're selling, how you're selling, to whom you are selling. Now, when you're selling directly to an end user, the salesperson's qualities and customer handling are of paramount importance. We'll discuss them in detail a bit later in this presentation. But what helps you sell is your confidence and reading of the customer's mind. Remember one thing, that who dares wins. You need to be daring enough to get there to the customer, understand his needs, position something which may at times, and a lot of times good successful salespeople will position something which is slightly higher than what the customer was trying to buy. The commonest examples of such things would happen when you go to a restaurant, even a McDonald's outlet, where they would ask you for an extra cheese or a supersizing of your burger and Coke. They are actually trying to upsell and sell you something more than what you got there for. In finer restaurants, you'll find people trying to tell you that this is the kind of wine which matches the kind of food that you're buying. It's a strategy for upselling, and this is happening typically when you're selling directly to the end user. When you're selling through channels, things that become more important, there are certain things that become more important. There are certain things which become lesser significant. Channels would typically be looking for lower pricing, that is higher discounting. They'd be looking for, at times, immediate deliveries because that helps them sell. They have a need right now. They have an order which they need to fulfill. So having a delivery could help you sell at a higher price without discounting your products all that much. The responses that you get, the credit terms that you are giving, technical inputs, because normally channels are not so geared up on technology and do not have the kind of staff that the manufacturer or the principal vendor would have. In case we're talking about slightly more complex products which require some kind of technology or which have technology behind them, you will find that resellers and channels would at times require installation support. They would definitely need post-warranty or warranty support. This lot of people is much more prone to relationships with the vendor, with the channel management team. Whereas when we start looking at consultants and procurement agencies, these are specialized in the nature of their work, which normally comprises of detailed RFPs, which is request for proposals. Consultants are the people who will put together an RFP, which is specifications of a tender or a privately circulated requirement. They would invite bids from pre-qualified contractors, evaluate the technical specifications of offered solutions. They would then go on to load the commercial bids for disparities in specifications. So there are two people who have quoted for products which are one which is meeting the exact requirement of the customer as put by the consultant or procurement agency. The second one has given something which is slightly short of that but would also work. So the way a consultant would go about is he would load the commercial order of the one who's supplying a slightly inferior product or a slightly cheaper product in terms of price, and the price would get loaded for the one which the consultant has defined as the customer's requirement. And finally, they would negotiate with shortlisted bidders and offer recommendations to the client who's actually the purchaser. Now, these are normally at play in mid-sized to large turnkey projects, but may play a role on a sizable purchase involving technology. So how is it that you are going to reach out to these people? Where you are talking directly to the end user, your salesperson who is the interface for your business with the customer. His approach, a lot depends on him, as I just said. His approach is going to be slightly different. Through channels, you have your channel marketing team, which is now reaching out to your resellers who are working out schemes, trying to encourage them to buy in more stuff than what they think they need, giving them some discounts and bonuses at times, a lot of trips overseas, sales conferences, and stuff, which gets them excited enough and motivated enough to buy more than what they would have originally intended to. Through the consultants and procurement agencies, this kind of interaction with the customer is not happening a majority of the time. So what is it that is going to represent your business, and how do you excite the end customer about buying from you when you're in the third mode, which is you're selling through consultants and procurement agencies? Here, the entire focus has to be on the proposal or the bid that you're submitting, because your bid is your proxy. It needs to spell out to a person you have not met why you. Why should he buy from you? So it has to now say a lot of things which are apart from just the product and the price. Now, elements of a bid that would give you something which is a winning bid, which brings out the best about your business, is totally in your hands now to write it in such a way that it does impress and meet all the requirements of the customer. This kind of a bid would have, of course, a covering letter, an executive summary. There would be a table of contents. It's just like a project report. The scope of work or bill of materials, at times both of them. The schedule of investment, which lays out how much for what does the customer have to pay. At times these are line item prices, at times it's a consolidated turnkey quote. The implementation schedule, because this is not something that you're buying which is going to be delivered today or tomorrow. This is a project which is going to take months, at times years, to be completed. Look at the bridge projects that are around for the construction business, tollways that are being built, a major roadway project which is happening, buildings which are being built for, let's say, cooperative housing societies, residential complexes, at times five-star hotels which are coming up. So the construction part is one project handled by one consultant. The other part would be probably the HVAC contract, which is the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning contract, which is handled by another consultant. Delivery times here could be 6 months to a year in most cases. So we're talking about a long maturity period here. So implementation schedule is very, very important. It needs to have conditions of contract, because it's not a simple sale. There is nobody who's paying you 100% on delivery, because a lot of these projects are running into hundreds of crores. So there is a payment schedule which is given, which is there in part of your conditions of contract, that I would start with a minimum of, let's say, 10% or 25% advance. I would do at such and such milestone, I need to be paid another 20%. At such and such milestone, I would do something. At the design stage, I would need so much money. At the implementation, completion of installation, I would need so much money. And finally, till the testing and commissioning is done, I would probably hold back 5 to 10% of the overall amount. So here, things are complex. The conditions of contract are practically a legal document done by your legal team, so that tomorrow, in case there is something called a force majeure, an act of God, you are not sued by the customer for delays which were beyond your control. It goes into a lot of things like jurisdiction of the agreement. It goes into arbitration, who is going to be arbitrating this in case of disputes with the customer. It also carries annexures and a lot of enclosures, which would typically have your company profile, the project profile, a select client list of yours, technical specifications, brochures, white papers, benchmarks if you're in the IT trade. Typically nothing moves without benchmarks in the IT space. Media clippings of your successes. What have you done so well in the past that the customer actually needs to buy from you? Who has spoken so highly of your business? So all these things need to go into it, and hence the sales approach changes in each one of them. I'm trying my level best to rush through all this. Believe me, on every one of the slides that I have here, I could probably spend a week talking, maybe even longer. So try to absorb as much is relevant to you. Try to assimilate whatever else may not be so relevant today, but surely as your business grows, you will need to understand the relevance of each of these things, and you would need to implement them in your own organization at some stage. So now let's talk about how do you address your market. Are you somebody in a showroom model? I mean, you have a brick and mortar office. People walk into you, they come and see what you have to sell, and they walk into you. That is key to this. The e-commerce model, where you don't really know where your customer is. Possibly you know he's in the country. You cannot open an office everywhere. Your business is not so large today that it deserves a retail outlet everywhere. But you're typically trying to compete in the retail segment. Hence, you launch yourself in e-commerce, and now it is technology which is driving your business. You could be using direct sales teams. You could be using social media for selling. This is something which is recent, but has caught on as a big-time phenomenon. Most of our businesses today would find a LinkedIn page. They would find a Facebook page. And you're going to see social media is filling up more and more with information about who's selling, how to sell, attracting customers, attracting eyeballs, which your websites conventionally used to do, directing eyeballs to websites through the social media. There is another new concept which is happening when we've decided to keep our teams lean. We do not directly hire sales teams. One, because I as a promoter may not be somebody who's comfortable handling a sales team. Or I've had some bitter experiences where I was relying on somebody to handle my sales team. Everybody came, worked for 3 months to 6 months, did zilch, cost me a fortune, left the organization, got a raise somewhere else, walked out. I'm not willing to take that risk anymore. So I at times start defining that, okay, let us now budget for what I need to build my business. In terms of my delivery capability, what is it that I'm targeting for sales this year? I need at least this much of sale to cover my fixed costs and my variable costs for my delivery team, right? Which could be a technical team, which could be a manufacturing team. So there is a certain fixed cost that I entail because my office costs money to run. There are salaries which I have to pay regardless of sales. I need to first cover those salaries, hence, and my overheads and the amount of capital that I have put into the business attracts some kind of a finance cost. So the opportunity cost of that is added back. I come to some kind of a break-even point where I say, okay, this is what I need to be headed for. Based on that, I budget and I say I need this much of sale because based on my industry, if I'm a manufacturer, I cannot aspire for more than 10 to 15% gross margins without having a brand. Now that is very important because with a brand I could probably have a 45 to 50% gross margin as a manufacturer also, and in certain cases in technology, those gross margins for manufacturers are even higher than that. For software companies, the gross margins are definitely good. Software product companies typically are selling at 50% gross margins. based on a certain number that moves out, but thereafter the software is still, the licenses are still available, and you have recovered your entire cost. So the margins that you end up making in that kind of business could be huge. For services, the margins are slightly more, slightly lower than what they would be for products. But at the same time, depending on what kind of service and what kind of industry you're in, you would find that these things could vary anywhere between 15% and 30, 35, 40% of gross. And deducting your cost from that, you are left with a net margin, which in most businesses, if you end up with about 10 to 15% in your initial years, you are a happy bunny. So that is what you're targeting. Hence, you have now devised the cost for your organization and realized that your sales team, direct sales team, which you are unable to manage, is actually posing a huge cost in your business. So you outsource this instead of handling them in-house. So you find a professional organization which is willing to, which understands your industry, your business, which is willing to put its own sales teams on getting on and selling your products. Now this could be on a variable cost model, which is a rarity, or it could be a cost plus model, which happens in most cases, which is cost plus commissions. So there are several models where you could actually let this out, put some specific targets on people. Do not use your energies so much on sales, but let somebody else who's a specialist at that as a different organization now take over this part of your business. Advertising and publicity is something that you would need to handle. Depends, advertising is something which costs a lot of money, but then there are a variety of options available in advertising also. So you could have banners on websites, you could have AdWords on Google, which are the cheaper options. Of course, it can go on to advertising in magazines, newspapers, national circulation, huge investments over there, or putting up hoardings. Publicity is something that you're not paying for directly. Advertising, yes, you pay for directly. Publicity is something that you end up getting, okay, or a PR agency ends up getting your business, which normally tells people that this is not a paid ad. These people are good. This is what they have done. This is the new win that they have got. Now there would be trade journals, there would be local media, there would be a whole lot of things going on to electronic media where publicity is covered. A lot of PR sites are there on the internet which allow you to advertise or put out your press releases for free, or some of them, of course, charge for it. But these press releases of yours could actually become publicity at low cost for your business. So that's a lot of about how you're selling, what you're selling, whom you're selling to. Now let us look at the most basic part of your sales team. If you have an in-house sales team to push your sales, what is it that you need your sales team to be? Desired qualities of a sales team. Now this is something which would vary with, again, based on what business you're in. But typically a good salesperson, the most desirable qualities that I have found in people, and I look for them when I interview freshers, new candidates, even a lot of people with experience. And the ones with experience actually normally lose the first 2, 3 that I'm going to name over a period of time. This is a positive attitude that you need to see in your sales team. Common sense, which is not so common. Enthusiasm. Now this is something which you find that people with 20 years, 30 years of experience actually start losing out. You need vibrant, enthusiastic people going out and meeting customers. It helps. Your customers feel good about it. These people show that they're carrying a positive attitude. They want to make a difference. They want to close that sale. It shows, it reflects. It is something which actually is so contagious that it gets around to the customer. The other qualities which are very important in a salesperson, and here experience does matter, listening. You know, we all hear our customers talk about what they need, but most of our salespeople are actually thinking right at that point of time, how do I close the sale? You're not really listening to the customer, you're hearing him. What you need to do is listen to what he is expressing. That, with your quality of observation, will get you to understanding the customer's requirement. Once you understand his requirements, you'll be able to position your sales pitch much better. Empathy with the customer is something which helps. Empathy typically being putting yourself in the other guy's shoes. So if you have that in you, the customer becomes comfortable with you. He knows that you're understanding his pain points. You're actually there to solve a problem for him, not just to make a sale. So customers open up to people who carry that kind of an attitude. You got to be adaptable, because while you were talking about something and you thought you were making the right sales pitch, suddenly there's a bit of information which comes out from a customer or somebody in his office or his cabin walks in, which tells you something else is happening. There's a competitor who's sitting outside. He's selling a product probably which is better than yours. He's beaten you 9 times out of 10 in the last occasions that you have encountered each other. You need to be adaptable. You want to now close the sale before that guy gets a chance to walk in, if you can help it, or grab so much of the customer's mind share that he is forced to take a decision without really considering the other guy's solutions or his offering. You need to be quick to respond. At times, price is something which people do respond very quickly to, but that is never, ever the only guiding factor in a sale. Please remember that. So you got to go with an open mind. You got to believe in what you're selling. What we call patriotism. As a nation, India, we are all patriots. We love our country. You got to love your business on similar lines. You cannot afford to not really believe in your business and be a great salesperson. If you do not believe in your business, in your company, in the products that you're selling, it is going to show. So you have to first, a good salesperson is somebody who convinces himself that what he is selling is something which he would love to buy. He would love to buy it from the company he's selling it for. Unless this comes across, this is always something which will be a hurdle in closing this. So be patriotic about your products, not just your country, about your company. Salespeople, good salespeople will always have a deep-rooted desire to success. They need to succeed. They have a never say die attitude. Till the order is typed out, signed, given out, advance check is given, even then a good salesperson does not give up. He doesn't say, okay, hell, I can't do anything about it. He knows that that check has to be banked. That advance check has to be encashed before, and the goods have to be delivered to him, to the customer, before he has actually lost that sale. So you cannot afford to give up at that stage. Now, where do you find such people from? That is the right experience mix that you require. What is the right experience mix? Do I need people with 20 years, 30 years of experience in selling who've been doing extremely well all their lives, and I say that that is the right experience mix? No, not really. I would much rather have one experienced leader in a sales team and put under him a lot of people who are practically freshers, people with 1 year, 2 year experience from the trade, who understand the trade but have not been so successful at sales. They may never have got an opportunity in the organization that they were working for. And with the right guidance, this can be a team, because the hunger for success was always there. If people have been unfortunate to work in a dead sales team with some organization where they have not got the right guidance, they have not got to live up to their expectations of themselves, their hunger is now actually going to make them work even harder. You have given them the right platform where they're going to be noticed, where they can succeed from. This is something which those people you will find with the right grooming, with the right training, will do extremely well at. I have personally preferred training freshers hands-on practically all through my career. It has never made a difference that I am a managing director or CEO of a listed company trading overseas or a startup over here. What you can teach firsthand to a person with your experience is something which a person is not going to be able to learn, and that is what makes him stay on in the organization. That is what makes him respond to everything that you're doing. So I have covered the part of experience. The right industry mix is important, because the industry mix would be one, your industry, the business that you are in, you need to know, salespeople need to understand that industry, or the business to whom they are going to sell, customer's business. We typically in the IT trade, especially in software services, have started having vertical and domain specialists. Now these are people who are specialists in the industry of my prospective customer. These are people who understand the nuances of that industry. They understand the pain points. They are very effective either in roles of sales or pre-sales, or just as domain experts in the customer understanding and giving you the respect that you are a vendor worth looking at. For any salesperson, it is very important that there has to be some kind of a target which is clearly specified in terms of numbers. It could be top line targets, it could be bottom line targets, it could be a mix of both, but these have to be definitely over a fixed period of time. It should never be something that, okay, you missed this month, I carry it forward to next month and the next month and the next month. It is much better to have periodic reviews, see how the person is coping, maybe change the product portfolio, maybe change the client portfolio. If somebody is not able to measure up to the target expectations that you had set for him. But these targets need to be measurable and they need to be achievable. There is no point putting a target on a person. I mean, as an entrepreneur, it feels great that, okay, I want this guy to sell maybe 10 lakhs in a month, and I've given him a target of 25. So even if he, just does 40% of this target, I'm cool. But it doesn't really work that way, because the pressure on this guy to sell 25 lakhs, if he's a good salesperson, he's going to take that 25 lakhs seriously. At the end of that month, if he has managed to achieve 10 lakhs, which might be okay for you as a business owner, will be something which is going to shatter his confidence. And that is going to reflect in the rest of his stay with your organization. Do not set targets which are not appropriate for the kind of person that you're talking to. A lot of times you'll have people coming for sales interviews and telling you that they were working with a competitor doing, let's say, 1 crore a month, right? They are at that time trying to impress you because they want a better salary from you. They want better perks from you. They want a higher designation. They want more responsibility from you. But when that person starts working for you, you realize that even 10, 20 lakhs is huge. I mean, it's not really happening. And you go on with that hope that in 6 months' time, this guy will probably do something. By then, he'll find another sucker who's going to offer him another job at a still higher value, and he's going to go and tell that guy that he was doing 2 crores for you. So please set measurable targets. Be very sure about who you are taking in. Verify their credentials, their experience. Don't poach, because when you're poaching, you're actually walking into the trap for somebody who's an enterprising salesperson, because he realizes that you need him desperately, and this is his chance to get the best that he wants for himself after he's a good salesperson. Team building and bonding are things that you should never take lightly. These are things which are going to make a lot of difference. A lot of people would like their sales teams to be at loggerheads with each other, creating competition, telling one guy that he's an underachiever and somebody else is an overachiever. It doesn't really work that way. You've got to have teams that work together. Competition is great, but it has to be healthy. Try not to put 2 of your salespeople on the same customer, because each one is going to step on the other guy's toes. Try to find people, one who is a relatively new in your organization, one who's been there for some time. Try to mix and match, and give your major accounts to them, because a manager and a sales executive are not really competing at that point of time. The manager's job is to achieve a set target for his entire team. The sales executive is only a part of it. It's a joint achievement of something. And that same manager could be working, of course, with somebody else who is a competitor to this guy, but in a different client, with a different client. So there is a healthy competition which is happening, because they're both being given support by the same person. Of course, you as the entrepreneur would be the best person, if you are inclined towards sales, to be that one manager that these 2 guys are reporting to. Keep them on their toes, give them the opportunities, let them have the pleasure of closing those sales. Let them have the pleasure of making the incentives on those sales. Let them see the money, let them feel it. Once as they say, a man-eater, tiger, lion, whatever, has tasted blood, he is going to look for blood again. Let that incentive for salespeople, that incentive that they earn, is the blood that you want them to taste. Make sure that a guy has got his incentive in 1 month, which might be in excess of his monthly salary, and see how hard he works from the next month. But at the same time, while you're promoting this, and this is, I'm talking about a part of a compensation mix here, but the team building and bonding is something which is very, very important. Your team needs to be happy together. They need to have healthy competition. How you achieve it could be maybe after office, giving them a break, taking them out for a movie, taking them to the theater, going and having drinks or dinner with them, spending time with everybody in the sales team so that they bond together also. It's not just you who's taking them out. They are all together. You're building a team. Give them the right compensation mix. For a salesperson to give the salary he asks may not be the best thing. Yes, let him earn that salary he wants by getting a target achievement commitment from him. Make sure that if he achieves the minimum sale that he is committing for himself, he is earning in excess of the money that he wants to come to him as a salary. Compensation mix today, in a lot of organizations, there's a 50% fixed component to the salary and a 50% variable component. Of course, at starting levels, the variable would be lower, but then please do not try to cap that, because you can create a performer and have much more sale from a person there if you are not putting a cap to how much incentive he can earn or commission he can earn. Of course, that is not the only way of compensating. Rewards and recognition, motivation, recognizing your best salespeople on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, preferably in the presence of their peers and their family. Okay, that is going to make a tremendous difference. You've got one salesperson who's doing extremely well, one who's not doing so well, but both their families, that is typically their wives, are also with them at one of your company dues where all the peers are around and the families are around. Now, the wife sees of the guy who has not performed so well, sees the guy's wife who's feeling so happy because her husband has performed very well. This is the kind of healthy competition, the healthy bickering that you want happening at his home, where she says next month or next quarter, I want you to go and pick up that award. Looking so happy today, and she was telling me that maybe, if my husband was also doing so well, then we could have gone out. So, I mean, this is something which is going to help in a way. It's competition, but it's healthy in a way. It's not so healthy at his house, but then you're worried more about what's happening in the office. Growth prospects have to be visible, clearly visible. The growth path for a good salesperson should be visible to that person when he's there in the organization. Otherwise, it will be visible to him with your competitor or somewhere else in the industry where you don't want him to go. Performers need to be rewarded at regular intervals and should have a clear growth path visible within the business. I will now move on to planning for sales. Now, this, of course, is the one area which would require a majority of your time and attention as the entrepreneur, as the business owner. So let us spend some time to understand this, and I think we are kind of running short of time. So I'm going to probably try and have to rush through this. Yeah, I'm already getting a call from there. Okay, planning for sales. The aim of marketing is to know and understand the customer so well that the product or service fits and sells itself. Now, that is what your aim should be for your marketing and sales team. So you must identify your buyer. Who buys your product or service? At what price do they buy? How often and from whom? You must build a profile of who's your target customer and who's desirable, not though hard to get. Okay, so even your desirable customers, you must understand, try to build a profile so that you are able to identify who your typical buyers are. You must research your market. Where are your buyers? Who are they buying from? And for how long have they been buying from somebody else who is your competitor? What kind of an annual budget do they have for what you sell? What are they looking for? What will make them change over their existing from their existing vendor supplier to you? You must increase your market visibility. This can happen through websites, social media, print media. I've discussed a lot of this earlier, events, advertisements, flyers, hoardings, shelf space if you're in the retail thing. Increase your market reach either physically by opening more stores, more offices, more warehouses, depending on your business again, or through e-commerce or through advertisements. You must sell, upsell, and cross-sell wherever you got opportunities. Salesperson's ability and quality matters here, along with the availability of a variety of add-ons and competing options. So you must, if you've got an arsenal of products that you can sell, which complement each other or could work with each other, you can actually end up selling much more to a customer than what he originally came to buy from you. You must provide the promised product or service, because without this, you can kiss goodbye to any repeat business. No references are going to come, and possibly your payments might also get held up. You must learn to retain your customer, use feedback through telemarketing, through forms, through meetings, respond to issues, create opportunities all the while, because you want to keep in touch with your customer. So you must understand your customer's business, offer solutions to his problems, understand his growth plans, maintain cordial relations, and hence keep the mutual respect that you need with your customer, because this is somebody who's going to give you, who's given you business already, and you're grateful to him for that, but he's also a prospect for your future business. You must keep building loyalty, keep them informed of larger wins, how well your business is going, keep coming out with schemes, promotions, new launches, loyalty discounts, exchange offers. Just keep sending them across to the customer, knowing that keeping him in the know of what's happening. So this actually goes a lot into brand building, and there is typically a three-step approach to brand building. You must document your successes, you must publicize your successes, you must advertise your successes. So with all this there, what are you waiting for now? I think I've given you, in a nutshell, practically everything that needs to get you the sales that you always wanted. So go get started, believe it's possible, release your brakes, step on the accelerator, and you're on the racetrack. I'd like to close with something that you should bear in mind always, that there are some people who live in a dream world, and then there are some who face reality. And then again, there are some who turn one into the other. So are you going to be that dreamer? Are you going to be that one who's rooted in reality? Or are you the person who is going to dream and then convert one, that is the reality of your business, into your dreams? Now that is a successful entrepreneur, and I wish you great success with your own ventures. Available now for any questions that you may have. So please feel free to ask your questions.
Thank you, Sanjiv. That was a very interesting session, and a couple of attendees have asked questions too. I'll read out the questions, and you can answer them accordingly. Just give me 1 minute.
Certainly.
Ms. Lakshmi Narayan wants to know, which is the easy way to reach a customer other than direct marketing?
Lakshmi, it depends, as I said, on what your business is. If you can tell me what business you're in, I'll tell you what is the best way.
She hasn't mentioned.
Of course, outsource is one, telemarketing is one. There are several options for those of you who might be from other businesses and have not asked that question. But if you can tell me your specific lines, it might help.
Sure. We'll ask Lakshmi to, send her queries again to us. If awareness is not there for the product, that is, if it is a new product for the market, how can one try to sell?
Well, you have to create that awareness. You can't come out with something new which you have thought of and dreamt of, which there is absolutely no need in the market for. There has to be a need that you are fulfilling with your product, which is why it will be sold. Once you have identified what that need was, that you developed a product for, you will have to build awareness of that, and the product, sells. You're not a government R&D organization. You're a business. You're an entrepreneur. I'm sure you have not gone and created a product that nobody wants. You're not funded by the government. You're not there to only increase your academic presence and knowledge by creating stuff. There has to be a practical reason. There has to be a need. What got you into designing that new product. So if there is a need, you have to fulfill that need. So the question that you're asking is not how do you create awareness of that. The question you're asking yourself is, who is the person who has that need? How do I reach that one person? How do I reach the kind of people who have that need? What is the best way of reaching them? Well, there could be multiple ways. They could be spread geographically across the world. They could be in your local area. It again depends on what exactly your product is. But there are definite ways of cost effectively reaching out to all your customers and getting your message and your product across to them. You can have test marketing. A lot of large companies do it in small areas and see the success of that. It depends. I mean, is it a consumer product? Is it an industrial product? Is it a technology product? Is it something which which you're going to buy it in two? So everything would have a different strategy. There would never be one uniform strategy. As I said, how you sell, where you sell from, it's all tied up, right? So I need more details to help you any further. You can feel free to mail me. My contact coordinates will be coming up in the next slide. Maybe I'll put them up right now. So in case you feel that you want to have a one-to-one on this, feel free to mail me. I'd be happy to answer.
Right. Vaishali wants to know how to crack the first deal. Everyone around us about previous clients, previous work, etc. Her business model has undergone change, and many previous clients have used an unrelated service. During doing the first project for free bears the risk for underselling the product and setting that precedent. What do you suggest to her?
Actually, I need to interrupt you. I cannot make out really what is being said. It's a long question, and I think I've lost track of what the question is.
Okay.
Could you slowly repeat that, please?
Yeah. Vaishali has just changed her business model. She's asking how can she crack the first deal? Because when she goes to the market, people usually ask her what is her previous work, what are her previous clients. So should she risk take the risk of underselling the product and setting that precedent, or she should try something new?
No, hang on. Again, I think for the benefit of everybody who's got questions there, please tell us what kind of a product or service you're into. The responses cannot be a uniform, cannot be uniform for everybody. The product or service that you're selling and where you intend to sell makes a lot of difference. Coming back to the question, the first sale being very difficult. Yes, the first sale is a difficult thing. Your best bet for your first sale would always be people around you, your peer group, people who started with you, people in your family, businesses where you know people. Those are typically the ones who are willing to give you a shot because they know you. Your credibility is something which you will develop as a business over a period of time. Just as you have developed your credibility for yourself with people who know you over a period of time. So assuming you're an entrepreneur and you come out with a new product or new business, I assume you're at least 20 years of age. Somebody who has known you 10 of those 20 years and believes in you is the one who is most likely to give you your first break. Once you have that and you've done a successful job there, I'm sure everybody else would only follow. Right? So your best bet would be people who know you. Go for them. I'm sure there are people who know you.
And how do you...
Does that help?
Yeah, thank you. So there are a couple of more questions. We'll take up a couple of them and see how it goes. There's one more question who Sagar wants to know how to get RFP.
How to get an RFP?
Yeah.
You need to be, RFPs are sent by consultants across to people who are in the business, right? Consultants, it's their job because they charge the customers for for sending out these to in case of limited bids. So you need to go and register yourself with consultants. You need to be looking up newspaper, tender notices in newspapers. They come up from practically everywhere. Of course, there would be pre-qualifying marks for most of these. And one of the suggestions I can definitely give to practically all of you here is that if your businesses are small, do try and register with the National Small Scale Industries Corporation, NSIC, which is under the Department of Micro, Medium and Small Industries, MSME. It's a ministry in the Government of India. It gives you certain benefits when you are bidding, because a lot of these tenders, the RFPs, they are asking for earnest money deposits when you put in a bid, right? Those bid guarantees are you're allowed as a registered member of NSIC in a lot of cases in government procurements to not furnish a bid guarantee. So that would help you in terms of conserving the capital that you have kept aside for your business, because you cannot put in 10 bids with 10 lakhs on each one of them in a startup and block up 1 crore of business of your working capital. So just keep that in mind. It is something which is helpful. It should help you in the long run.
Right. Jatin wants to know, is it a good idea to compromise on pricing to convert one particular deal? His sector is creative advertising.
His sector is advertising. He wants to know whether he should cannibalize on?
Is it a good idea to compromise on pricing to convert one particular deal?
Losing audio. There's a bandwidth problem, Meenakshi.
Just 1 minute. Am I audible properly now? Hello?
Yes, Meenakshi, I lost your audio in between.
Oh, okay. Is it clearer?
I think there's a bandwidth issue which is happening.
Yeah.
Now it's clear.
Okay. Jatin is from creative advertising sector, and he wants to know, is it a good idea to compromise on pricing to convert one particular deal? Now, if he's about to crack a deal and it's still not going through, is it a good idea to compromise on pricing to convert that deal into sale?
It depends on how important that client is for you. Certain clients would mean your standing in the business is affected. A major account, you're in advertising, let's say you had a Unilever account, let's say on one side, right? And you are being very fussy on your price not coming down. But just what that one account could get you in your field. There's a lot of cases where, especially in services, we subsidize certain clients just because we need them on our client lists. We need certain campaigns in advertising. We need certain campaigns because they're going to convince a whole lot of other customers to come to us at a price, and they are the ones who actually create the brand for us. So that's a conscious call that you will have to take. Who are your existing clients? Are they willing to pay for what you're charging? Is this client somebody who's so special that you cannot, live without that business? If you cannot, and most of these clients would be very well aware that this is something where they are in a, they are driving the deal. They know that if they give you only this much, you will work. But at the same time, in my career, I have always maintained one thing, that we are in business, not in charity. So I'm not going to, I can subsidize on my profits, but I will not go into a loss on a deal that I'm taking up consciously. I need to keep my cash flows running. My business needs to be profitable. Yes, I need the clients, but I can only compromise on a share of my profits, not out of my costs. I hope you will keep that in mind too, because for any business to be healthy, eventually profits have to be there.
Thank you, Sanjay.
Sanjeev?
Yeah, thank you, Sanjeev. Due to time constraint, we'll not be able to take any more questions, but if you're okay, we can, while we upload the YouTube video, we can give your email ID for any queries. Is that all right, Sanjiv?
Most certainly, Meenakshi. It's been a pleasure. Yeah.
All right then.
Feel free to write me with any queries. If I think, yeah, you have all my web coordinates there. You can tweet, you can get on my Facebook page, or even write to me through email. So feel free to do that, and I'm glad to have had the time to spend with you. I hope that 1 hour that you've given to NEN and to myself is of use to you, and it helps you plan and build your business and takes you much further in life. God bless you. All the best.
Thank you, Sanjiv. For the attendees, the next webinar will be conducted on 26th, 23rd, and it will be on negotiation skills. If you found this session interesting, tweet us at NEN India. The recorded version of this webinar will be available on our YouTube channel by tomorrow evening. Thank you very much for this session, Sanjiv. Thank you all our attendees for participating in the webinar. We're glad the questions kept coming in the presentation. Recording of the session will be uploaded soon. Thank you once again, all of you, for having such a nice evening. Thank you.